Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Melissa Bowles-Terry, and I'm Head of Educational Initiatives for UNLV Libraries, and I'm just really pleased to see so many of you here to help us celebrate this year's winners of the University Libraries Calvert Award for Undergraduate Research. I have to say, this is one of my favorite events of the year. It is a fabulous celebration of student achievement, and it's an opportunity for us to acknowledge that it takes a whole campus village to raise a researcher. I would like to ask the teaching faculty, the instructors, and graduate assistants who work with students every day to integrate research-based learning in their courses to stand and be acknowledged. Instructors? Some of them are in the back. All right. I would also like to ask Liaison and Educational Initiatives library faculty who are partners in the classroom to stand and be acknowledged. And other library staff, please, from those who are on the front lines to those who work behind the scenes to build our discovery and delivery systems. Yes. Thank you so much for all the work that you do on behalf of our students. It is really meaningful, and I think that we really see that tonight when we see the excellent work that some of our students have produced. I'd also like to take a moment to thank the award committee members who managed the promotion and the application process. So Kate Wintroll, Nancy Foley, Roseanne Matola, and Heather Johnson all helped out immensely. And I'd like to give special thanks to Kate, who was my co-chair for the award, and also to Ashley Perkins, who helped us with technical support of our submission and judging system. Thanks to all of them. And finally, the students, librarians, and faculty who volunteered as judges. We had a big group of judges this year, and it made the work really light for everyone. Allison Sloat, Kim Nels, Dan Bubb, Jory Beck, Peter Gray, Allie Green, Heather Lusty, Reagan Petruha, Cindy Shane, Dave Schwartz, Aaron Rinto, Greg Volker, Lorraine Francisco, and Denise Zamora. Stand, please. Judges, please stand for just a second. Thank you so much. Yes, just so you can see, these are who our judges are. We really want to thank them for their time and expertise in selecting winners. It's a really short turnaround from the submission deadline to the judging deadline, and so we really thank those folks for their work. Also, making it all possible because of their vision and their generosity, we need to thank our community supporters, Lance and Elena Calvert, who believe in the power of education, in the role of libraries as educational institutions, and they want to nurture excellence in our students. They endowed this research award in 2008, and we appreciate their support so much over the past many years. And so, a hand for the Calverts. They are not here to join us, but we are filming and sending letters from the winners to the Calverts to thank them for this excellent support. So tonight is really all about the students, and I am looking forward very much to hearing directly from them about their research. This year we had 15 applications from 10 different subjects, 5 different colleges, and the applications were all of very high quality. And we're very happy to have participation from all around campus. The libraries is a place where interdisciplinary work sort of comes together. People from all across campus come together for research here, and we're happy to sort of be in that spot and serve that role. So we are going to have a few words from Vice Provost for Academic Affairs, Dr. Carl Reiper.
I don't want to spend a whole lot of time up here speaking because really tonight is all about the students and the accomplishments that they have made over the last year. So just a very few short words about the importance of what this endeavor that we have embarked upon is to the university and the state. And so undergraduate research is something very special, and it's a foundation on which our students carry forth, not just while they're at UNLV, but they launch out into the world, whether it's in a graduate program or professional program or in their jobs. And research universities, many people think, oh, well, that's just scientists and postdocs and lab techs behind closed doors doing things that we don't understand. And well, that's partly true. Really, the foundation of a research university are the undergraduates and the opportunities that undergraduates are afforded as they move through their introduction to the academy all the way through to being graduate students. And it is on that foundation of undergraduate research that graduate students evolve. And then graduate students evolve into faculty and productive members of our community. And so undergraduate research is a fundamental component to a research university. And I will say that UNLV is quite special in that area, in that I would imagine that everyone in this room, including the students here, would acknowledge that UNLV holds that one-on-one interaction between a faculty member, between someone in the library that's helping them research their project, et cetera, very, very special. And there are many institutions where undergraduates really never get that one-on-one interaction that you would see at UNLV. And that's something, I came to UNLV because of that, and I can look out across the audience and see many other faculty sitting here, and that was the draw that brought them to UNLV. It's that undergraduate relationship. Now, I'm not saying they don't engage in graduate level education, but it was the undergraduate experience that they could engage with. They could have students around them. They could work with them and watch them move through the discipline that was so important. And as UNLV moves towards a research very high institution, there are a number of folks in the community that think that we're abandoning that mission, that undergraduate passion that we have. That is as far from the truth as you can get. What we're doing is going to strengthen our commitment to undergraduate education and undergraduate research because we recognize it's at the core of what we do. It's the core of our fundamental values. And so really what we're doing today is celebrating students who have worked with a number of individuals at the institution to really sink their teeth into a fairly complex topic, and I looked at the array of things that the award winners have looked at. They're complicated. They're not simple problems that they've addressed. And so they've sunk their teeth into these very complicated problems, and they're starting to evolve their critical thinking skills, their ability to see from multiple perspectives, diverse angles of opinion, et cetera. And that's really what being an undergraduate is all about, is evolving your intellectual capabilities to grasp problems, solve problems, identify new problems, and then move that out into our society to do wonderful things. And what you're doing is really leading the way at UNLV, but also as you move onto your graduate and professional programs, out into jobs, you've honed your skills so that you'll be leaders in your fields. And that's a very, very special aspect of undergraduate research and what an institution like UNLV supports and, quite frankly, thrives on. And so I'm delighted to be here. I'm just seeing the students, the fruits of their labor, the rewards that you're getting today, the recognition, but also it's always nice because there's always a number of folks that come back year after year who have won these awards, and we can kind of follow them and see the wonderful things that they've done as they've moved forward into the future. And so I am absolutely delighted to see everyone here, to recognize the student accomplishments. It's just very, very special for the students. It's equally special for the mentors, and I've talked to a number of mentors sitting out in the audience, because they have watched you blossom into what you are today. And believe me, they will continue to watch you mature and grow and move out into the world and do wonderful things. And so I'm just delighted that I was invited to be here to share this with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reiber, for your acknowledgement of the importance of undergraduate research at the university. So now I'm going to introduce our winners and invite each of them to the front to receive their award and then to say a bit about what they learned over the course of their research. And we're going to go in alphabetical order rather than the order that you see printed in the program, just a warning. And we also have photographs, so we're going to pause for a second with each award. Okay, so first we have Manuela Bowles, the emerging scholar that we're recognizing tonight. She's a junior at UNLV studying English, and she's also a student worker at UNLV Libraries, so we're a little bit extra proud of her. Manuela is receiving the Calvert Undergraduate Research Award for her paper, Margaret Atwood and the Implications of the Word Love. Her faculty mentor, Dr. Amy Green, praised her persistence in the research process and her deep engagement in this line of inquiry. Manuela used many different UNLV library resources, including our special collections, and also reached out to the University of Toronto to gain copies of documents from their collections of Margaret Atwood's personal papers. She worked with two different librarians, Sue Kim Chung and Priscilla Finley, who I see here, and she admits to spending many late nights in the library reading and working on her paper. She even wrote a blog post about her research experience with tips for the first-time researcher. Manuela demonstrates the curiosity and the persistence that lead to success in inquiry and research, and I am so pleased to give her this award. Manuela.
Yes, that would be nice. Thanks. Okay, can you guys hear me all right? Awesome. It's funny, I was reading an interview with Margaret Atwood the other day, and she tells the interviewer, "I hate to break this to you, but some people don't like me." And she is about maybe 74 years old, and she still has this spunk. And I was thinking to myself, wow, you must be doing something right if you have a few haters, right? As a result of this project, I've discovered so many new resources that I just wasn't aware of. And I considered myself to be an okay researcher. You plug in some search terms into the academic search premier and you're good to go, right? I was working with Priscilla Finley, who introduced me to the Literature Criticism Online database, which was amazing. So if any of you ever want to write a literature review, you can use that database. I'm also so thankful that I was able to utilize special collections, because it was actually Sue Kim Chung who said, why don't you reach out to the Canadian Rare Books Library and ask and see if they are able to provide you with some research material. And I wouldn't have done that by myself, and it was just nice to have that encouragement. And I also want to talk about the amazing selection of works on Margaret Atwood that the library has here. If you just go to a public library, you might see maybe a couple books by her, the most popular ones, but here there was a lot more that I didn't even know existed, so I was really happy about that. I would really like to thank Dean Patty, for her dedication just to undergraduate research. You always hear about research at the graduate level, and I really wasn't aware of any opportunities for undergraduates to pursue something like this. So I'm really grateful that the libraries is making this possible. I would also like to thank Scott Smith, who's back there. He read several drafts of my papers, and he didn't rip them to shreds or anything, and he provided some very helpful feedback. I would also like to thank the Library Administration Office for their enthusiasm and for pushing me to pursue this. And I was obsessing about it for the past 2 months, so they're probably like, yes, it's finally over. She can stop talking about this. I would also like to thank again Priscilla Finley and the Special Collections Department. Priscilla, I actually went to visit her when I already had most of my sources, and my paper was a mess. Like, I had all this information and I just didn't really know what to do with it, and she helped me organize it a lot. And finally, I would like to thank Dr. Amy Green, who unfortunately could not be here tonight, but I visited her quite a bit during office hours, and she was just so enthusiastic and so supportive, and I was really happy to have found someone to like geek out with over awesome research. And I also understand that the Calverts aren't here tonight, but I would also like to thank them for just their dedication to undergraduate research. It's just, again, it's something that you don't really hear a lot about. And by sponsoring this award, it's wonderful because it encourages undergraduate students to pursue something that they're really passionate about. And I've definitely found my calling in research. Like, I can just see myself holing up in an office somewhere someday with all my books, be the spinster person with all my cats. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
All right, our next winner is Katie Kanata, who graduated in fall 2014, and she is receiving the Calvert Undergraduate Research Award for her honors thesis, Jihad in the Global Village, Al-Qaeda's Digital Radicalization and Recruitment Campaign. In her paper, Katie examined recruitment strategies employed by major jihadi elements in their online communications. Her faculty mentor, Dr. Paul Trout, describes her work as incredibly timely, sensitive, and potentially useful for political intelligence organizations, which is pretty amazing for an undergraduate research project. The majority of her research involved exploring constantly changing digital publications, including websites, forums, and internet archives. But from library resources, Katie accessed all the background information she needed for her lit review. She also learned how to adequately protect her identity while engaging on jihadi forums. And she learned methodologies for content analysis, which is all very fascinating to me. Katie's entertaining several offers from graduate programs as prestigious as George Washington University and the London School of Economics, and she's planning a career in international affairs or law, and we are very much looking forward to her future work. Katie.
So when I set out to begin an honors thesis, I knew it'd be the perfect opportunity to examine a topic that combined my two primary academic interests, media studies and international relations. And following my long-term fascination with the internet and the war on terror, I eventually chose to study Salafi jihadist digital propaganda. And doing so allowed me to examine the ways in which the internet facilitates the perpetuation of fringe ideologies. And it also gave some insight into groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda's persuasive techniques that they were using to recruit potential Western supporters. So in particular, I was interested in looking at content that was either translated or produced in English by such groups for the purpose of motivating readers to not only support an ideology, but to actually follow through and act on it. And with the guidance of my thesis committee, I performed a content analysis on over 200 digital publications, including digital magazines, speech transcripts, and the like, which were collected from jihadi forums and internet archives. But my research really wouldn't have been possible without the resources and the staff here at Lead Library. Kate Wintrell was kind of the starting block of my research. She showed me how to really effectively search through the digital collections in order to supplement my literature review. And for information that was harder to come by, I was taught how to use the interlibrary loan services, which was of a great help for more cutting-edge articles on kind of a new topic of media studies that's emerging from I guess, political science and terrorism studies. And of course, I also had the careful and committed guidance of my thesis advisor, Dr. Paul Trout, and my thesis committee, Dr. Andrew Hansen from the Honors College, and Dr. Julian Kilker, who doesn't seem to be here right now, but they were extremely patient and encouraged me throughout the process, especially when things got kind of shady when I was collecting content from the forums. But it ended up really paying off, and I'm very fortunate to have had the experience, because it really gave me the confidence to pursue future studies that are equally rigorous and engaging. Finally, I'd like to thank the Calverts for sponsoring their award, and it's a really big honor to actually have been chosen as a recipient. I really can't think of a better way to conclude my undergraduate studies here at UNLV. Thank you, and congratulations to my fellow awardees.
Okay, this is great. Our next awardee is Lee Hanover. He is studying history at UNLV and will graduate in fall 2015. He's receiving the Calvert Undergraduate Research Award for his paper, New York Oneida, Land Claims, Federal Policy, State Intervention, and Casino Development. Lee's faculty mentor, Dr. William Bauer, wrote that Lee's paper is the best he has received from an undergraduate at UNLV, and the research is in fact on par with excellent graduate work. His paper demonstrates an unusual breadth and depth in the use of library collections, as he used extensively the Catherine Spildy tribal gaming research files from Special Collections. This is a recent acquisition at UNLV's Special Collections, and Lee was among the first researchers to have used it. He also used newspapers and Senate hearings and important secondary works on Oneida and Iroquois history. So it's just a really impressive range of research that he conducted in this inquiry. It's a great array of sources from diverse areas, and we are going to hear more from Lee about his process and his final paper.
Okay, so I don't think I can follow up my peers as well in public speaking, so I've brought pretty much my speech with me because I do not do public speaking well. Well, my name's Lee Hanover, and just to start out, my paper reviewed 3 different parts. My paper was composed of 3 different parts. The first part was a review of federal and state policies aimed at the Oneida Tribe of New York, then focused on the introduction of tribal gaming during the 1970s and 80s, and then finalized with the major issues and successes for tribal gaming to the Oneida since then. Tribal gaming for the Oneida and others is not only to guarantee their rights in gaming enterprises, but more so is centered on their ability to reinforce sovereignty, political, economic, social, and cultural, in securing land and resources. Just to review, in 1974, the Oneida won a test case that overturned 140 years of case law and allowed the tribes to hear their cases within a federal forum. In 1976, a fire claimed 2 lives in the Oneida reservation. The Oneida decided then to flex their sovereignty, ignoring the Public Law 280, which gave jurisdictional powers to non-Native Americans, and started a bingo hall in a double-wide trailer. Their reservation was only 32 acres at that period of time, and although their facility was closed just months after operation, the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act of 1988 reopened gaming enterprises. They built their tribal Turning Stone Casino in 1993. By 1997, they were the largest employer in their Tri-County area. And in 1998, they were the 13th largest employer in central New York. Fast forward to 2013, and their 3 outstanding legal cases between the Oneida, Madison counties, as well as the state of New York were settled. Ray Hallbrighter, the CEO of Turning Stone Casino and a tribal representative, reached an agreement with New York and Governor Cuomo that allows 25,000 additional acres to be held in trust for the Oneida and secures exclusive gaming rights to the Oneida in New York State. This is an amazing deal not only for the 900 people that were enrolled in that tribe at that time, but secures the rights of tribal gaming for all communities. Although there are many downsides to tribal gaming in the United States, those tribes that have been able to capitalize on their geographic settings and political power have brought about major successes, not only in profits, but in the rebuilding of their traditional cultures and stronger social benefits to their communities. The Oneida, in particular, subsidize health insurance, provide housing for the elderly, and make large donations to primary and secondary schools, as well as college tuition scholarships. They also run cultural heritage programs and promote religious and cultural ceremonies to promote their traditions. I know I speak fast, I apologize. The difference between casinos in Nevada and New Jersey compared with Native American gaming is that the profits remain with the corporation, whereas tribal communities have their earnings earmarked for social programs in their communities or for tribes that do not have the benefit of tribal gaming. This paper did not concentrate on the problems of alcoholism, drug abuse, or suicide on the reservation system, but seemingly they are similar to pre-casino development. The primary social issue caused by casinos is gambling addiction, but this is true of any community that allows gambling, be it lotteries or slot machines. In short, the Oneida are one of a small group of Native American communities who have been able to use their history in gaming as a benefit. Their historic legal battles over land sovereignty and political self-determination over their communities prepared them for the massive opposition to gaming on tribal lands and compelled them not to give up on developing their assets, cultural, or social health. To end, I would like to say thank you to some people that without their help and guidance, this study would not have been possible. First, to my wife, Sarah, for reading, rereading, and editing my paper from the beginning to the final stage of the writing process. Second, to Dr. Willie Bauer, who nominated me for this award and provided assistance throughout the research and editing process. He couldn't be here for a family matter. And third, to Dr. Mary Womack, who, in addition to Dr. Bauer, reviewed and edited my paper and gave suggestions on strengthening and structuring my writing. Fourth, to Catherine Spielday, who donated the collection to which my study was anchored, and to the staff of Special Collections, who organized to the best of their ability, because that is a massive, massive collection. 42 boxes, I believe. It's daunting to look at. And then lastly, to Lance and Elena Calvert for this opportunity to present my research to a wider audience. This award goes to all of you. Thank you.
All right, our fourth and final winner tonight is Bella Victoria Smith. She's graduating this month, next week, with a degree in Interdisciplinary Studies and English. She's receiving the Calvert Undergraduate Research Award for her paper, Man, Where's a Man? Don't Let Him Go, Molina's Transgender Web in Interpretation and Performance. Bella's paper, completed in her Interdisciplinary Studies capstone class, brought together theories and methods from English and from theater and performance studies to analyze the novel Kiss of the Spider Woman and some of its adaptations. She did close textual analysis of the novel, the screenplay, the film, and her faculty mentor, Dr. Sheila Bach, says that Bella has made a really valuable contribution to interdisciplinary conversations about how gender is performed, about the problematic conflation of gender and sex-based identities, and the relative invisibility of transgender identities in the media. Bella will begin work on a PhD in the English department at The Ohio State University this fall, and we will be so proud to call her a UNLV alum. So, Bella.
Alrighty, hello. It's wonderful being here. As I was telling somebody earlier near the refreshments, when I found out about this award, I wrote a list of things that I wanted to do before I graduated at UNLV, and this award was at the top of my list, so it's very humbling to be here. I'm actually going to start with my thank yous. So thank you to the Calverts. I would not be standing here if not for your generous endowment. Thank you to Kate Wintrell at the library. I have worked with Kate on multiple projects, and it was wonderful receiving some feedback from her on this one. And I would like to take. Thank Dr. Sheila Bach. As was mentioned, I am going to The Ohio State University, and she is an alumnum of Ohio State. So it's very special to be sharing this moment with her. So thank you very much for your direction and your feedback. I can be quite brash with my words, so having her wonderful notes of when to pull it back and when to push myself further, that was extremely helpful in this process. And thank you to Tim Gauthier for showing up today. It's wonderful to be representing the interdisciplinary department. And thank you to my parents who are here. And besides dealing with me at my most difficult times during the research project, I think most of us have been there. I want to take the time to thank you because without your upbringing, this project would not exist. My mom is from Panama, so I grew up in a household where I got to see the cultural differences between American and Latino culture on a daily basis. I'm getting a little emotional, sorry. But I'm really grateful for that experience because when I began this project with the close textual reading of this novel, I noticed a difference between how gender and sexuality are perceived within the Latino context versus how it's perceived in the North American context. And a lot of the research that is produced comes from the United States. And so seeing how we talk about gender and sexuality, being conscious that there is a cultural difference with Latino cultures and their texts, their cultural texts, that's extremely important. So I feel like if I took anything away from this project, learning about myself and about that cultural difference was the most wonderful, wonderful thing. And, sorry. My main research interests are dismantling male, cisgender, and heterosexual privilege in various texts. I mostly deal with Shakespeare. And after doing this project, I realized that I wasn't considering enough of the cultural context. So I hope to take what I have learned from this project and apply it to my future studies in Shakespeare adaptation. So now that I've got all the emotional stuff out of the way, I'm just going to briefly talk about my project because I'm sure you're interested in it. So I had it in 3 parts. I did a close textual reading of the novel in translation. Originally, it was written in Spanish in 1976 as El Beso de la Mujer Araña. And what I found was that it could actually be interpreted as a feminist reading, which is not what a lot of scholars have said about this novel. Specifically, we have 2 characters who are political revolutionaries in different ways, and the character that I focused on, Melina, has often been called just a gay man because this character is in a male prison, and actually if you just accept that, you're not unpacking the gender nuances and the sexual nuances that exist within this totalitarian state. So I did a close reading, and then I did a performance reading. I did semiotic reading. And then my final part, which is actually really important to me, was some suggestions of how we can incorporate what I talked about in my paper into performance. So the next step, and I'm very excited about this because Ohio State has been doing some wonderful bridging between the English and theater departments, is actually to put this on performance. So, taking on the world. Yeah. So thank you very much.
So how exciting to see this kind of work from undergraduates. It just makes me feel so excited about the end of the semester. It's so energizing and fantastic to see this achievement of our UNLV undergrads. So one more hand for the winners and for their mentors. Okay, so that concludes our formal program. Please stay and have some food and drink, congratulate the winners, ask them more about their projects because they have been immersed in these topics for a long time. They're very happy to talk about them, I'm sure, unless you're sick of it. I don't know. But anyway, please do enjoy, and thank you again very much for coming tonight.